Our wire here is a bit loose. Luckily, it's an easy fix. Just cut off both ends of the cable clip and hammer it back with a nail. Next, we're making a duster drill bit. Cut the slits into both ends of one piece of paper and leave the other one whole. Create a notch in the dowel and glue 2 pieces of paper inside this notch. Now we can dust off our woodworking projects. Sometimes it's better to keep things simple. Here we're using a metal plate and a zip tie as an anchor to secure this pipe to the wall. Instead of throwing away this old shovel, we can turn it into a post hole digger. Scrape off the rust and cut off the shovel blade into a square. Use a vise to straighten the edges and then bend it back into a cylinder shape. Hit it with a few coats of spray paint and now you can start digging. To make it easier to find the end of the tape, most people just fold the tape back on itself, creating a tab. Instead of folding the tape on itself and leaving a tab of unused tape, it's better to fold the tape backwards. It makes the tape easier to grab, and the result is less unused tape. We can make a temporary foam brush to apply wood stain by clipping this small sponge. We can also use another clothespin to remove the old sponge and keep our hands clean. Here's a quick makeshift utility knife. Hot glue a razor blade to the teeth of a comb and let it dry. Now we can cut things like paper, aluminum foil, and foam. Here's a little trick if you have a screw that keeps slipping. Grab a piece of duct tape and put it on the end of a drill bit. Press down firmly. That should give it some extra bite. Every project could use an extra pair of hands. But what can we do if we don't have an assistant? We can build a simple stand using 2 pieces of wood, a single hinge, and some 100 grit sandpaper. We're going to use this extra piece of 2x4 to adjust the height of the stand to the appropriate height. If you need to reseal a glass bottle, we can cut off the top of a plastic bottle and then use a lighter to heat the plastic around it until it shrinks around the edge of the glass bottle. We can turn this old bike chain into an adjustable homemade wrench. We'll secure some square tubing in a vise and weld on one of the ends of the chain to the outside. Then tuck the remainder of the chain inside the square tube. When ready to use, pull out the chain to the appropriate length, squeeze, and then twist. It looks like this chair is a little worn out. We can make use of the legs by turning them into a spray paint turntable. This one is extremely simple. We're not even securing the pieces together. But you can add complexity to fit the needs of your projects. Next, we're making a DIY door closer to prevent the door from being slammed. Essentially, we're welding a nut to some rebar and then welding a spring perpendicular to the rebar. Next, we'll create a frame to hold everything together. Secure the spring, then pass the bolt through the nut like so, and secure it on both ends. Now we'll mount the door closer to the wall, then pass the rebar through the bracket and mount the bracket itself to the door. Now let's build a portable light bulb. Cut off the end of the extension cord for the plug. Glue the base of the light bulb to the plug and wrap the electrical wires around the appropriate screws and tighten. Twist on the casing and screw in the light bulb. Plug it in directly to the outlet. Our wooden clamps aren't as stable as we'd like them to be. We can fix that with a little bit of foam. Cut out some hand-sized blocks using a utility knife. Then heat the bar with a blowtorch. Now press the heated bar onto the foam block and then remove it. We'll repeat this a few more times, and now we've got some foam block stands. Sometimes glue dries and gets stuck in the nozzle, making it difficult to open. We can cut an oval-shaped wood tab to make things easier. Insert the nozzle into the wooden tab and then attach the nozzle back onto the lid. This gives us a little extra leverage. Here's a quick way to hold 2 pieces of wood together while the glue dries. Attach binder clips to one end and then hold everything in place by wrapping rubber bands around the 2 pieces of wood. You can wrap this wire around the thread of a bolt to make a little spring. We'll share all of this and more today on Workshop Insider. We'll cut out the damaged part of this vinyl floor and a new piece to match. Then glue the new piece down so that it's flush. We can use a broken screw as an anchor to another screw. Sometimes we need our bolts to be a bit more secure so no one can unscrew them. In this case, we'll use blind rivets. Now they're not so easy to remove. Our vinyl floor is a bit loose here. We can drill a hole in the vinyl floor and fill it with wood glue. Now we'll cover the hole by melting a crayon and then shaving it flat. To securely pack fragile items, we'll need to place our item between 2 layers of spray foam and plastic wrap like so. Our item is ready to ship. We can also repackage the item like so for multiple shipments. Leave a brush in the paint bucket and it'll start to sink. We can mark out a little notch and then remove it using a handsaw. Now the brush will hang on the rim of the paint bucket. Putting duct tape on wood before cutting will keep the wood from splintering. Use a utility knife to cut the duct tape in the shape that you need. Now we'll cut along the edge with a jigsaw. And our wood has not splintered. We can even use a plastic straw to anchor this screw. Drilling into drywall can create a lot of dust. We can use this plastic bottle as a shield to collect the dust. Now when we drill, any dust falls into the cap. How can we prevent this marker from constantly rolling? Simply add a zip tie to the end. Water that's left on the ends of these shovels will cause the metal to rust. We can prevent that by filling a bucket with sand and motor oil. Now if we set our shovels inside the sand after working, the oil will prevent them from rusting. Sometimes the clamping pressure and too much wood glue causes the boards to slide. We can use a bit of salt to keep the boards from sliding. We'll learn how to make our own dowels in this next project. Start by cutting out 2 quarter circles. One needs a hole about the size of the dowels, and the second needs a large hole. Attach the boards to a stud like so, with the router in between. Now we can pass the square dowel through and round it to size. The mortise and tenon joint is one of the strongest joints that we can make to secure these 2 pieces together. We'll start by making the mortise. We'll mark the exact center and then use our mortise router, making multiple passes to cut it out cleanly. Next, we'll make the tenon. We want to make sure that it fits snug, so we'll never cut past our marks. We can remove most of the wood using our table saw, cutting the sides and the bottom. It should come out like this. We'll remove the rest of the wood using a chisel and sandpaper. Now our pieces fit nicely together, snug, and everything lines up. Our last project for this video will be a handcrafted curtain holder, made out of this log and the extra piece of scrap wood. We'll start by drilling a hole into the center of the log and cutting out a large hole in the center using a hole saw drill bit. Then we'll cut off a round about 1 inch thick. We'll want to sand off the bark of our circle piece, and also sand off the edges of our straight piece. We'll end up with 2 pieces that look like this. We'll apply varnish to both pieces and let them dry. Pass the curtain through the circle piece and then lock it in place